You didn't do your big arm raise, Sean.
I know, yeah. Just
There you
thinking
go.
before the arm race. Thinking before the arm race how to start. That's all I'm doing. Just give me a second. Just let me ease into it. Just glide
Come
in and get started.
on.
Right, relax.
I'll,
Hang on now. The people are waiting.
I'll have a,
You shut
I'll
your
have
mouth.
a nap by the
No, no.
time you get
You
shit
see, you just
together.
wait on me put it all together and organize and all. You just talk for like 20-minute blocks and then let me say a word or two, and you talk for 20-minute blocks. And but
Do you
I gotta set you up for those 20-minute blocks and have things to say to you.
Yeah, and do you ever hear about the people on the TED Talk production, or do you just hear about the people that do the TED Talk? Come on, Sean. Come on.
But the people on the TED Talk don't happen without people in the TED Talk production setting all that thing up.
Exactly, but no one cares about them. They're just in the end credits now. Come on, will you
Yeah,
just
but
say something?
they have to be set up. They have to get started. They have to get the presentation. Everything else has to
Oh,
be right. Ladies and
does
gentlemen,
your
you are listening to Eric Lawless live from America right now. It's live from New York City or Alabama. And
Abalama?
as myself, Sean, always, welcome to this week's episode of Any Given Runday. Eric, apart from you sound like you're in a great mood. How are you?
I actually am in good form.
Good.
Made these little homemade. Do you know the way people give out about pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
I don't understand why. I thought I did. I don't get it. It's one of your 5 a day and pizza. Like, you're being healthy while being bad. I actually think it's a genius idea. So I put it on today. I made these. We got this sourdough we had to use up. So I put barbecue sauce on it, some cheese, and then we pineapple. And I was like, right, should we put that on it as well? It was absolutely amazing. Anyway.
I had pineapple pizza once. It
bread.
wasn't that bad. I had pineapple
I
pizza
don't get
before. It
this
wasn't bad,
because
but I wouldn't order again. I think it's just to be involved in something, to say something.
I think people just like lose the run of themselves, or they jump on this bandwagon. Like, they don't even know. They probably secretly like it, and they're like, "Oh, pineapples." Anyway, I had a great time. I tried it.
I'm delighted you had a great time.
Yeah. Now, I always find it hard to get away from a meat feast. Absolute sucker. We spoke about the whole vegan January. Not going too well for me. But but pineapple on a pizza, not the worst. I'm kind of impressed. Do you know if anyone has that to say, doesn't like it, at us? I don't care. I think it was great. I think you're all full of shit, actually. Anyone who says pineapple's dirt on a pizza, you need to have a long look at yourself. Anyway, I'm in a better mood now, Sean. Rant out of the way.
I don't care much. You do you. I'm not in a half bad mood. I'm slowly starting to notice that the evenings get a little bit longer. We're getting closer to the warmer weather. Still a bit cold out there. We're getting close to warm weather. And I find when it comes to running, more so in January, just because it's too cold. The roads are icy, and obviously, it does get like that in February. But I just find that because that longer stretch in the evening, a little bit longer in the morning as well, that now is the time that people start to slowly take up running. Would you agree with that? Or do you keep it January?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the point, Sean, as we roll into February, that people. Like, January is easy because everyone wants to do well in January. It's on your social media. Everyone's working out around you. It's always easy to do something when everyone else around you is doing it. But I think if you're actually being honest with yourself, if you can just make it through January and be somewhat active, February's a great time to start. Particularly 100%. In Ireland, it's miserable. It is miserable. I think actually, people come out of that January, they go hard for a week, and then they come off Christmas holidays, work picks up again because everyone goes back to work. Obviously a little bit different from COVID this year, but people then kind of get caught out. But I think if they set a goal to be active in January, and some people have been in January, I think now this February roll around, this is the time to actually start. What are we doing for the year? We've looked after ourselves for the last month. Let's take on the year from now.
Like, me and you both read James Clear's Atomic Habits, and he talks about it takes, like, you always say, like, the memes and stuff we saw in January, like, it just takes 3 weeks, 21 days to build a new habit. Whereas in that book, it goes to a lot more details, like anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks. And I feel people in January should use the time to try and build those habits. Doesn't matter if they're not the world's greatest workouts. Doesn't matter if they're only 20-minute workouts, or, just a light walk, brisk walk, bit of jogging in between as you build up into closer to February, where it starts to get brighter, able to do that a little bit more. But just to start building those habits. Now we're into February, it's like, now if you've managed to get a little bit fitter in January, if you've started, now's the time to kind of like, you have a little bit of foundation, build on from there.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It's about foundation. Whether you worked out 4 times a week or once a week, you've put in something. You know that, and that's all it takes. It just takes you to have put in something. And even if you haven't, the whole year isn't gone. Now is actually the best time to start. I think February is actually the best month to pick up whatever it is you're planning for. And like you said about the habits, that it was a great book. A great book, again, like we say with everything else, if you take what suits you. He talks about repetition, and that a habit is actually based on how many times you do something. So how many times did you put on your runners? How many times did you come home and sit on the couch? Do you know, instead of coming home, sitting on the couch, come home, sit on your runners. And then the more you do that, that becomes the habit. That becomes the routine. That becomes what you need. So you need to come home. You need to put on your shoes. And everything else looks after itself until it's called automating your habits, until it becomes an automated habit that you do it without thinking. And that's what it's all about. And it's so much easier when you know we're coming into the springtime. Yeah, still in a cold spell, but it is starting to get that a little bit easier. You can see summer is coming. But yeah, the habits of it are a great thing. And I think anyone listening who's kind of had a crappy January, it's been different for everyone, especially with COVID. So that obviously I'm not at home. It's very different for me here. I'm doing a specific job over here, and I'm up in the air every day, and it's quite a busy life for me over here. But I feel for everyone at home who is, like, even when I ring my parents, I'm talking to my mom. She's fed up going for a walk. She's fed up. She's fed up with everything. She's fed up with, listening to the same story on the news. She's fed up with feeling bad about herself. She hasn't seen the grandkids. And she's bored of going for a walk. She's bored of walking around the same town. And I feel for it. Like, everyone is going through that, and it's not easy. However, I always ask her how she feels after her walk. And she always says, well, I actually feel good after my walk, because as bad as it all is, the best thing you can do is that small bit of exercise. And if you've struggled to get going, motivation was lacking in a lot of people in January. It's been, you as a personal trainer, Seán, probably noticed as well. Not a lot of people got motivated this January.
No, it was tough, all right. And just to go back to what you're saying about the, just trying to get that routine, getting started, like, especially if you're starting running, it's just, I find if you're at the very start, and even myself and yourself, we've taken weeks, months off with different injuries and all the rest, and you go back for that first run, and all of a sudden, if your 5K time was 22, 23 minutes, now it's, 25, 26, 27 minutes, and you can't catch your breath and all the rest, and you're like, how did I ever manage to do this before? And it's just a case of consistency, take your time with it, slowly build back into it, and try and find those that mindset and those habits to get out there in the first place. I've talked before on this podcast, like I sometimes cannot motivate myself to get that door. So I have one of those massage guns, and I'm not promoting massage guns. They're good, bad, or different. All I'm saying is I know that once I lie down in my bedroom and I get the massage gun out for 2-3 minutes, next thing you know, I'm doing my glute bridges. Next thing I know, I'm doing my dead bugs. Next thing I know, I'm doing my plank, my spider lunges, into my squat, split squat, single leg RDLs. And then I have my running gear on. I've set my podcast on my Spotify playlist, and I'm out the door. But it all starts with setting that habit at the start of the massage gun. I just use it to help warm up my muscles. I'm not saying you have to have a massage gun. I'm saying what you were talking about earlier is setting that routine, setting that habit to try and get yourself and get going without thinking about, it's going to be an absolute struggle out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that book was very good at talking about trigger habits. And that's what you just spoke about there. The massage gun is your trigger habit. Once that process starts, it's like a launch sequence for a space shuttle. Once you hit the go button, it might take 10 minutes to launch, but the sequence is started.
It started.
For me, it's the headphones. Because they're these little ones I slot over the ears. Even when I'd be pretty much, all right, no one needs to know, but I wouldn't be wearing my full attire. But I'll put the headphones on first, because I'll end up lying on the bed, or I'll end up texting, I'll be on Instagram. Before I know it, 45 minutes has come on, and the hour and a half I had to train has now turned into, I'll just go for a 20-minute run to a 10-minute run. So for me, the trigger is the headphones. Once they're on, I click into the playlist. First song comes on, I'm like, here we go. The gear comes on, the shoes comes on. Before I know it, the watch is looking for its GPS before I even get out the door. By the time I hit the main road, the watch is running and we're off. And that's it. That's all I have to do. The rest will look after itself. Then it's just a mental stay on the run. How long am I going for? What am I planning? Am I feeling it today? Am I not? Changing it out there.
Yeah.
But like that, it is those triggers. And there's another good tip that he said, and as we talk about January, and everyone's done their dry January and their vegan January and their eat all the meat January and all that other crap that everyone is talking about, and not just being themselves. The other thing he talks about is, like, I know a lot of people, like Ozzy is the biggest, most disciplined man when it comes to nutrition. I am not. If I see sweets, I smell sweets. I'll smell them in your pocket and I'll rob you of your sweets. But I am disgustingly sweet tooth. But a really good thing that I took away from him in that book was, you don't have to be the most disciplined person. You just have to make it easier to make the right choices. So instead of in the top drawer or the top shelf or the biscuit jar is right there when you come in, replace that with a bowl of fruit. Replace that with a bowl of what your homemade vegan meat, whatever snacks that you're going to look after that are going to be your go-to. Little bits of dark chocolate individually wrapped that you can have one of when you come in. If you do like chocolate in the evening with a cup of tea, leave out the one. So he talks about putting things in places that help you make the right choice. So a bowl of fruit instead of the bowl of sweets, you know, and it seems so simple, but the harder you make it for yourself to get at the sweets, to get at that, and the easier that the apple, the fruit, the pear is, or even if you're meal prepping, just have nice little fruit salad, something that's easily there to just go, yeah, I'm going to have some of this. It's really, it was one of the bits I took as well, leaving your running shoes by the door when you come in, or your gear ready and packed or laid out. Because if you don't have to make that choice in the evening when you're tired, you just have to put on the shoes and go.
And there is something to that in terms of, like, it sounds stupid to think of, but it consumes brain power. Like in the morning, you have the most brain power to make these decisions in terms of clothes and all the rest. And the longer you go through the day, the more kind of different things you think of, the more your willpower drains in terms of doing those things. It's kind of like you always hear the likes of, Steve Jobs wears the same clothes in and day out because he doesn't think, he just puts them on and goes, uses brain power for something else. And it's the same thing in terms of getting your workout clothes. Just having, I'm not saying you have to be Steve Jobs to run, but just having your workout gear just there, ready to go. And it's just an easy process and that's why, like, most of our pitfalls is because the easier option is usually the unhealthy option. It's usually the big bar of chocolate staring at you in the fridge before you reach behind that bar of chocolate. There's something else that might be a little bit healthier. It's just all the unhealthier options are always the easiest to grasp it. Like fast food.
Me and you, we've read that in a book. I can't think of the name of it, but it's some sort of book where he talks about your decision-making process. They actually did a study. I think it was with judges, could have been Turkey or Israel, or I can't remember the exact country, and they based their decision-making in the early morning. They were really good at making decisions. Until lunchtime, they got a bit bleak. Then they had lunch. Then they were good for an hour or two after lunch. But come the end of the day, they couldn't make a single decision. They postponed things, they moved it on, did this study for a long time. And they came down to say that you do have decision-making power. And that's where most of us suffer. That's why if I don't get a workout in early, God knows what's going to happen that evening, because I'll have made 100 decisions that day. And then the decision to sit down and watch Band of Brothers or go for a 10-mile run, I know which one I'm going to pick.
They say,
and that's what it is.
Yeah, make your whatever your biggest problem of the day is, the biggest thing you have to do, tackle that first when you have that willpower, because we're pretty much like a phone battery. It drains throughout the day, and then it's harder to do. Like even on a phone, I have plenty of times my phone's been out like 1-2% battery. You're trying to still use stuff in the apps, and it's just moving really, really slow because it hasn't got much battery to process. That's pretty much the human body throughout the day. So imagine yourself, each day you wake up, you're close to fully charged. Actually, Garmin does that, doesn't it? I recently got one of those bad boys. Garmin has a thing where you have it measures your sleep. I don't know how it works exactly, but it's the same kind of thought process where it measures the amount of sleep or something you have, and then it says like how much, what your energy or something rating is you're starting the day on.
Oh, I didn't even know it did that. I'm not sure.
Pretty sure it does. I was messing around with that a couple weeks ago. I was like, I saw it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. The one night I got like 9 hours sleep, but I was like, you're at 100% capacity. I felt groggy and crap. But anyway, that's what it told me. I was like, oh, but the watch wouldn't lie to me. I can't remember what the exact. I'm opening this up here now, but equally,
as great as the watch is, I'm glad I don't have that function on my watch, because I'm not letting a watch dictate how tired I feel. But a lot of people will. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, I'm at 50%. Better not do anything."
Yeah, and like I was just using that as just a metaphor, as opposed to what I was talking about. But yeah, you shouldn't use the watch. Yeah. And to your point, sometimes you're out running, and your thing says your pace every time. It's like, you know what? Let's just cover that up. Not looking at whatever the pace says. Just have the time on it, and just enjoy yourself. And Tom, I think, talked about that before on one of the podcasts, where you're like, sometimes it's best to leave the watch at home, or if you have it on you, don't even look at it. Just enjoy the run. Yeah. Take it in, and whatever you get, and then just work off that for the next session. Yeah, no, it is some of the most liberating runs when you actually don't run with headphones and or time or pace. Just let the brain do the work. But yeah, it is an interesting one, and that's one kind of tip and trick, I suppose, for February, when people are. I think this is the time to start. I think, as you said, make your hard decisions early. Meal prep is key, because when you're making those difficult dietary choices at 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, kids are just gone to bed, just turned off the laptop, just got in from work, finish study, whatever it is you're doing. If you have the food all ready to go, if you know what you're going to eat, I don't know, maybe it's easier for me and you to say, I would eat the same meal 4 days a week, and then I change it next week. I wouldn't care. As long as I don't have to think about it, as long as it's cooked and all it has to be done is microwave or heat it up, I will eat that 7 days a week. Some people can't do that. They like to cook fresh meals. Fair play. It's 2 hours a night. I just can't give. But if you are looking for that little cheat, or a how do you do it? How do you squeeze everything in? It's having those meals and then not having to make that choice. I already know before I've gone to work that day what I'm eating for dinner that night. And then as soon as the run's finished, as soon as the shower's finished, the food is on, and 5 minutes later, it's on the plate, and that thought process, habits, choices is all gone. The only thing I have to restrain myself from doing is going to the sweets after I finish dinner. And that's an easier fight. And at the same time, like, even going down to get more specific with the run, you should know before you start that run what type of run you want to do that day, whether you're following the Couch to 5K app and you're starting off with run, walk, or getting a brisk 2-minute walk, whatever it is, or 2K walk just to get started. Or, you might know some guys that have an app that are able to give you strength training and running and stuff with that as well. Cheap plug for the anygiventrainingday.com.
Do you know people who do that?
I know people who do that. Do you know people who do that?
I know a couple of people.
I know a couple.
Shout out to our 20 clients who trust us.
Yeah, but like, even taking that, and you're just like, you're set off, this is the plan, go do it. And you're like, right, everything is set in stone. Now I know, right, this is what I have to do. That thinking process goes out of it. Everything is all laid out, and just the way you go. And it's like, if you are following something like the Couch to 5K program, you're doing it for the first time, take your time. It's going to feel like crap the first couple of times. Even like, just go easy on yourself. Like, even running to the 100 meters to a tree, walk 100 meters next tree, you're not going to be able to catch your breath. It's just going to feel like it's never going to come. But the most important ingredient to your training program is consistency. Without that, doesn't matter what training plan, even if you got it from us, it doesn't matter what training program you have, it's not going to work without consistency. And know that everyone's going through what you're doing. Like we've said before, we start out, we haven't ran in 3, 4, 5 months, and all of a sudden we're running, we're struggling to hit a 5-minute pace for 2-3 kilometers. And we're like, oh, I did that during a marathon. How am I struggling now? Because it takes time to get back into it. But if you haven't done it for a while, you go back into it, you get that a little bit quicker, muscle memory and all that. But just ease yourself back into your training, or starting your training. Slowly build from there. Progression, like we talked about before, you don't want to just go all out, get sick, get really sore, never do it again. So probably ease up on the interval runs. If you listen to that podcast a couple weeks ago with ourselves and Aaron, take your time. Don't have something in the program you absolutely dread, and build yourself up through it.
Seán, I have an idea.
You have an idea?
Yeah, I know. It's rare.
Shocking. It's rare. I actually saw a light bulb ding above your head. It was like a minion over there.
Ding. How about next week we'll dedicate that? So anyone who's listening now, we've piqued your interest. Next week, let's talk about a Couch to 5K training program. Let's talk about each individual run, what's expected of someone, how to go about it, so that if anyone does pick up a Couch to 5K or is listening to us, at least they have us guiding them through what's actually expected of you in the Couch to 5K. I think that could be a good episode. I think people can then listen to it again when they're like, what is intervals? What is this? What's an easy run? What's a threshold run? Now, it's all on our website. When you join up, we do explain all that stuff to you. But I think for those who do listen, we're nearly up to 6,000 downloads, by the way. And so thank you to everyone who downloads. But we would absolutely, I think that's a good idea. I don't know, maybe you think it's crap, Seán, but we'll find out next week whether Seán thought it was a good idea or not.
And on that cliffhanger, guys, I'm going to leave a cliffhanger. I'm not even going to answer that. Yeah, we're going to do it. I'm not even going to answer that. Thank you once again for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. If you did enjoy this episode, please do let us know. Share it on your Instagram stories. Throw a good 5-star review on Apple Podcasts as well if you're listening through that. And that's pretty much all I got to add to this week's episode. Eric?
No, I'm good.
Thank you for listening.
Pineapple on pizza. Pineapple. It's a buy.
You know what?
It's a buy.
We're going to post this up on Instagram on the post as well. I want people to let Eric know in the comments. Pineapple on a pizza, yay or nay. Let him know. I hope you get to put a pushback on this one. I really do. I couldn't care less.
I hope they come and try and burn me out of my house for it. I hope they come.
I don't think travel to the States allowed this time. Thanks for listening to the episode of the podcast. That's it for the two of us. Take care.
Bye.